goes far and wide. We'll learn along as we break it all down. Marissa, Looney, Joseph, and Ryan, the best hosts in town.
Yay! Hey everyone, welcome back to Podcast The Sequel, where we discuss the good, the bad, and the continued. I'm Manira.
I'm Joseph.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Marissa.
Are you okay? And with it being a continuation of Ryan's birthday month, we will be talking about his favorite rom-com sequel, Sex and the City 2. But before we talk about Sex and the City 2, we got to talk about Sex and the City 1? Sex and the City? All right,
movie,
cool.
yeah.
The movie, the film. Joseph, numbers, please.
Budget $65 million. Box office of $418.8 million. Fuck out of here. It was a huge commercial success.
Hold on. Cinema score.
A.
Get the
A cinema score for
Okay.
I would like to say one thing.
There's no way.
One
It's an
thing,
ace.
because I went down the rabbit hole.
I'll give it.
My whole life, I'm going to put this out there. I've never seen Sex and the City, the TV show. I've seen snippets here and there when people watch it in the background, but I've never actively sat there and watched it. My mind blew when we put on the movie, and I was like, it's called Sex and the City. I thought for the longest time it's Sex in the City.
That's what I thought too.
I did not know
Yes.
until like a few days ago. And I told Joseph, like, is it Sex and the City or Sex
I thought it
in the
was that
City? And he
too.
was like, it's Sex in the City. And I was like, so the movie's just Sex and the City. No, I was completely
To
wrong.
be fair, both. They're
They both
Yeah.
work.
In the city
but it's also the show is about sex
and the city.
and being in the city. So, hey, whatever. And just like that.
I mean, how was their 9/11, huh?
So I've never seen the show.
Did they do an episode?
I don't know.
That was
That,
his question
that was
I
my
wanted to
question
ask.
for it, because I didn't watch the show. My family did. I heard a lot of conversations about it. I wasn't allowed to watch it, obviously. Oh, yeah. But yeah, was there like a 9/11 episode? I'm just curious.
I mean, that's
Because it was around during that time. Yeah.
right?
You want an answer?
Yes.
Oh, do you have it?
I have no idea. I never watched the show.
I have the answer for you.
No,
I have the answer to you. Thank you, Reddit. It was included in an excellent article for who anyone isn't aware that the show made reference to it because Sarah Jessica Parker read about it on the New York Times. That was it.
She didn't just seen it?
No.
They weren't just
She was, dude, she didn't, no. She was not in the area.
She was getting out of somebody's.
They didn't live the Star Wars?
She was in downtown proper, dude.
It just smells
She's
so
in Soma?
ashy.
No, I have seen episodes.
She was in a field grazing.
She was. I was gonna. Oh, okay. So, okay. To your point, I tried not to do horse jokes, but they were really hard to do. To not write horse jokes for this.
Wait, we can't say the horse jokes?
Oh, absolutely, you can.
I personally don't feel like she looks like a horse.
I can see
My
it.
own opinion.
Dude, Broderick doesn't.
So, well, no, obviously.
Does he? Because he likes to ride that horse.
Ooh. No, there was a scene. I want to say it's the second one, and I don't think she looks like a horse.
She has a very long face.
She has it's a long chin to forehead ratio, but there is a scene in the second movie. I won't say a horse, but she does look like Mask. Have you ever seen that movie?
The Mask?
No, not The Mask.
Oh, I was like, we covered it.
No, it's like the movie with Cher and that kid who has the face.
What are you talking about? I gotta pick
Mooney, go ahead, pull it up. I want to say it's just called Mask. It's from like I want to say it's from like the.
Oh my god. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So do I.
That's fucking awful. God, that's fucking awful.
knew what he was
Oh my god.
Now, with that being said, not to that extent.
Would be a
but when
way
she's
better
crying
show.
on the
She's
steps.
beautiful compared to...
Oh,
That's
gorgeous.
so terrible.
No, but here's the thing. There's a reason I feel that way. As a person, she does not look like that. As her character, Carrie, I have choice words. Especially if we're only going to talk about these two movies.
Oh, these two films, yeah. Mm.
I have choice words, and those will be valid later on.
So I've never watched the show. I watched the movies for the first time. I did watch What was the prequel show that they gave Carrie Bradshaw?
The Carrie Diaries.
The Carrie Diaries. I saw one episode to see if maybe I would be interested in watching Sex and the City. It was not for me. I'm assuming you like the Carrie.
It's very different. Like even I have issues with how they met in Carrie Diaries versus
Her and Big?
how she
Or
explains.
her and her friends?
No, her and Samantha, because Carrie Diaries is basically like Carrie and Samantha and their younger years or whatever have you. And in the second film, which we'll get into, that she talks about how she meets Samantha, which like kind of parallels, but like totally different at the same time. So I actually liked the Carrie Diaries. I don't know why or how I came upon.
Wasn't that on like
CW.
ABC? Oh, I thought it was on like ABC Family.
Anna Sophia Robb, who
And
was
it's like-
in what was that movie?
The
where
Bridge to
dies?
Terabithia.
Thank you.
I also like her.
Spoiler for Bridge to Terabithia. Put that in the comment.
It's not a sequel, so we're not.
Sorry.
God damn it! I was just started it.
I'm gonna
Have you
watch
ever
this
seen
real quick.
Bridge to
But hold on.
Terabithia?
Fuck no, I haven't. But I'm sure somebody has.
Is that the one about the water horse?
No! You mean the Loch Ness Monster one?
No.
Loch Ness gets mentioned.
Why not? And then I've never seen the show. You've never seen the
I've-
show, but
I've-
you guys have.
I've heard snippets of it. My family was very much into it to the point where my parents fought over it because my dad was more into it than my mom was because of Samantha. So my most earliest memory of Sex and the City was arguments about that, and then being at like family gatherings and them discussing the newest episode and all that stuff. But I never actually have sat down to watch any season of Sex and the City.
I probably should have looked it up. But does the show and movie take place? I know it takes place a few years after the show, but did the movie come out right after the show ended, or a few years later? They were like, let's bring it back.
Years after.
A few years for sure. It's like a few years after.
And I want to say the timeline is anywhere from like 2 to 4 years after the show ends. I think.
So anyone have any thoughts on Sex and the City, the film? It's just called Sex and the City film. Sex and the City?
Absolutely.
The movie.
Absolutely. They're movies. I had a hard time watching these. I'm not gonna lie. I remember watching this not growing up, but like being a well-developed teenager. My mom was really into this show, and she has an entire box set.
For the TV show?
Yes, like the entire series on DVD.
What do you think was more popular during that time, Sopranos or the Sex and the City?
Honestly, like, so my family was real big on like HBO TV. Like it's not just Sunday, it's HBO. And they would have parties. And like she would invite her friends and they would have Sex and the City night, Sopranos night, and she would make like a Sunday dinner. Like pasta, like the traditional Italian fare, and they would watch their shows. So therefore I kind of was ingratiated into the Sex and the City life. But I don't know which one would be more popular. Test of time, I say Sopranos is what I say.
I would go Sopranos because I knew more about Sopranos than I
I
did
kind
about
of
Sex
lean
and the
towards
City.
Sex and the City.
I would say that Sex and the City is more iconic for the time.
I feel like at this moment in time right now, while you guys are watching this and in the future, that The Sopranos is having a renaissance.
I would say at this moment in time, or just over in general the course of time itself, Sopranos is more significant, and I think it's more influential. But Sex and the City, for the time that it aired, I think was more influential in terms of like women, the idea of sex itself. So like that was like the show. So it started in 1998. I mean, relatively like this was like the time where like we weren't getting these kind of like risque types of like shows and stuff. So this is where, you know, you're getting more female leads. You're getting these shows about risque type of ideas or comments, especially with it being HBO. You're getting nudity as well. So, I mean, this show was kind of a different type of, you know, it was a different type of viewing than what you were used to. I mean, yes, it was like something as simple as like women living their lives in the city, having martinis, but like it just dealt with like real life.
And like Sopranos, we've seen before in movies with like
Yeah, we've seen
Goodfellas.
Godfather,
Yeah.
So, but between before all of that, because it is HBO, they had another series that was going on that was earlier than Sex and the City, and it may or not be. I didn't look at these facts, but HBO had a series called Real Sex,
Yes.
and then they would like interview people on the street and like ask them questions, and then they would play like a segment, and it was like at the time like Real Dolls. I don't know what episode that was. I just remember flipping past the TV as a 12-year-old boy and being like, what? And there was, like sex dolls. Like that was a segment. And then one would be like a nudist colony where they do like tantric sex or whatever. But it wasn't like a foreign topic because I think that show started in like 1990 or 89.
Yeah.
Because it was very grainy from what I remember. And I think maybe because of the popularity of that, Sex and the City, they're like, well, let's make a fucking show about that.
Well, the reason that the first episode ever that aired for Sex and the City is actually filmed like a documentary style. So they probably were kind of piecing off of that. So I don't know if Michael Patrick King, I think is his name. He's the one that like wrote, he like wrote and directed all of the he didn't direct all of the Sex and the City episodes, but he is responsible for the idea, most of the writing, and then he also did both films. So he might have gotten inspiration off of that as well. But once again, like we're talking a documentary versus like a sitcom, if you will, or a scripted TV show where it's about their lives and these characters versus like, just like an on the street, like a, hi, my name's this and we're doing a, survey of blah, 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 blah. What do you think? Kind of thing. So this is like a scripted TV show, and I think this is like one of the first ones that really became immensely popular, especially with women, where it was, women empowering. I think this is like where we, got that big like social media kind of represented idea of like women are empowered, we can have sex lives. It doesn't have to be all about men and like men are single and successful, but women aren't, and like that was the whole argument from the initial episode of Sex and the City was just like, like even like they do a flashback in this movie where Charlotte's just like, I've been dating for 15 years and I still can't find him. Where is he? And like, women are always just like, we're lost without a man. And like, so this was like the first show where it's like, no, we're going to take power back, if you will, and have control of our own bodies, thoughts, ideas, and what we want in New York City.
I think it was the first one to show like different archetypes of women too, because they have one that's very sex positive, being Samantha, one that's very career driven, Miranda, one that's very like 1950s housewife, Charlotte, and then Sarah Jessica Parker's character Carrie, just kind of
whimsy.
I don't even know if it's whimsy.
She's whimsy.
She tries to be whimsy, but like I don't know.
Well, because her thing's always been like love, like I'm here for love and fashion.
The only thing I like about Carrie Bradshaw is I want her shoe collection. That's all I want. I just want her shoes. That's all I want. It's just shoes.
That's the only thing she has good taste in.
It's the only thing she has good taste in.
I stand by that.
Shoes and
I stand by
fashion,
that right now.
Questionable. Sometimes questionable. Maybe it's because it was not what I would wear then and now. But the shoes are timeless. All those Manolo blogs, I want all of them.
That was actually one of my questions: is what were your thoughts on like Carrie's apparel, if you will?
Shoes are great. Yeah,
I don't
really. I feel like the dress wear it's very much. And I thought about this too. Is like when I was like figuring out what to wear for the podcast. Like, what do I have that's so outlandish and sparkly that I could wear and be Carrie Bradshaw? And I had none. Very monotone with my wardrobe.
She wanted to be Carrie.
I wanted to be Carrie Bradshaw. But
I think she just has like way too many looks with the bra straps hanging out, which I feel like is just a huge fashion faux pas.
I feel like her fashion icon was like Madonna because that's when
yes.
Oh yeah.
She's coming up. And I feel like she's been this is me looking at it introspective now, obviously obviously I'm very fashion forward as a male fashion icon here on the podcast.
With your Bass Pro Shop hat.
Exactly.
Wearing exactly what he wore for the last podcast.
This is my podcast uniform. That it's very, I don't know. I just feel like she's kind of like, she liked what she liked when she liked it. And she's still trying to be like.
Because she's a fashion blogger, columnist. None of those?
No, she just writes about. She writes a column that she writes in the show is pretty much what you saw in the movie. It's love and
I know that this is based
being
on
a woman in the city.
Woman in the city.
loosely based on a true story about what's her face, Candace, who wrote a column in the 90s about her and her friends in New York.
Yeah, that's
This
exactly
is
what
what the
it
show's
is.
about.
Yeah. And just like their love lives and like the trials and tribulations of being a woman at that time frame in New York City. Then and there.
Yes, I'm a lady.
Yes, I'm a lady. New York City.
I like this idea though. Like, and this goes into like the series as well. Like, I don't mind like women in the city. Like, I like for shows. I don't mind a general baseline. Like, I don't need these crazy like outlandish. There's fairies and dragons and magic and all this stuff. I don't need that all the time. Sometimes it's nice and refreshing to just have like a day to day of like, this is something that I can relate to. Like, if I'm a woman in New York who's looking, who's single, looking for love or whatever it is, like, this is something I could relate to. I am obviously not a single woman in New York, but if I were,
She's taken.
Yes.
if
How
I
dare
were,
you?
Like, this might be something, that I might just be like, oh, this is so nice. Like, I relate to that. Or like, oh my gosh, like, Charlotte's trying to look for the guy, and like, why not? And he can't get it up, and like, I understand that because the guy I went out with last time. You could totally. It's exactly what me mean, ladies. So with this movie, it's taken off from the show. The show was like a whole big, I think it was like 8 seasons of like, Carrie obviously like is the main character. She's trying to, like, she's dating all these different types of guys. We get her in different types of relationships, but the one that's always kind of coming back around is Big, Mr. Big. And in the end of the show, spoiler, she finally gets with Mr. Big. They decide to be together, so this is basically the movie and like the afterword of like they've been together, and then all of her friends who have also found potential love or partners or whatever, and their stories as well. So with this one, it's kind of just catching back up with them. We're reintroducing these characters, and there's this question of will Big and Carrie get married? Mm-hmm. So I think this is one of those like if you didn't watch the show, you don't know that Big and Carrie are not looking for like your traditional we're married and we got this big wedding and like we want kids. Big and Carrie don't want kids. It's something that they've discussed. And then they've settled on, so like that's not a thing, and we kind of dive into that in the second one. But at this point, the whole movie basically for Carrie's storyline is revolving around she's getting married to Big. Mm. Correct?
Yes.
Yes, and he is divorced already twice, right? Before
this will be his third marriage.
Yes, so I felt like that was like a big thing in the movie where it's like the wedding becomes bigger than what he expected. And I felt like he got cold feet from that, but he really doesn't, because he's kind of like, I think he has that conversation with who's
Charlotte, Miranda.
One of them, because they're dealing with her husband cheating on her.
Miranda.
Yeah,
Miranda.
and
yes,
like
during the not the reception. No, it's not the reception. It's the rehearsal
dinner. Yeah, and that's a big thing where he starts getting like cold feet. Yeah.
And I feel like this is slightly justified for Big. Like, to be fair, this is his third marriage. He's already had 2 failed marriages. He's probably done the like horse and pony show already. Like, I feel like this is somewhat allowed for him to feel this way, and it's not like he's done all this stuff. Like, he's like he doesn't necessarily maybe want to do this again. And for Carrie, it's her first marriage, but like in the beginning of the conversation, like first of all, like they're having a conversation about getting married. There's no huge proposal. He's not setting up candles and flowers and this big charade of like proposing to her. It's just kind of like well, do you want to? I guess we could, like, sure, if you want. And I feel like it just kind of builds from there. So for him, like, I kind of get it, because, like, I mean, I don't, like, I'm very much in that boat of, like, I never really wanted, like, I'm coming down on, like, this platform with, like, a microphone, and I start, like, singing my favorite song and twirling around, and there's fountains and swans, and, like, I didn't want that big production. So I kind of get where he's coming from, but at the same time, like, you know, I get from, like, a woman's standpoint, maybe you want it to feel like a special day kind of thing. Like, you want to be seen as, like, a princess, a queen, start the show, the world revolves around you kind of thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I just yeah.
All I was gonna say is that she agrees, and she goes, yeah, there's only gonna be max 75 people, and it turns into 200, and it turns. This whole movie, I was like, no, I'm gonna look at it from an open sort of perspective, and a lot of times I was siding with Big, and with Carrie. They have certain arguments that are from both sides, but for the wedding specifically, he's just like, I just want to know it's like us, like you're doing this for us. And it kind of seems like she got caught up in it and was like, I just want to do it for the magazine at a certain point. Yeah. Like, we're going to have all these people because, it's the dress, it's this, it's that. And there's like 275 people coming towards the end of it.
I feel like my biggest thing, and I agree with you, I think my biggest thing one of my biggest issues with this movie is that not knowing much about who these characters are, like, show-wise, like, growing up with them and everything, is that you've mentioned it, Carrie's very big into, like, romance and everything. For her to just be like, okay, I guess we'll get married. Or, like, the whole thing. I really don't believe Carrie and Big should be together.
That was always the argument for the show, too. Was
I think she could have, and I don't know who she ends up with. If she has other lovers, relationships in the show, and then in the revival show, whatever it's called, with who she ends up with after Big and, like, before Big and in between Big and all that, I feel like knowing a little bit about Carrie and, like, her ideologies of, like, romance and love, she just settled for Big. Maybe he's good in bed. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, the show makes it a little bit more, like, they have a little bit, I would say they would have a little bit more chemistry in the show. Like, and it's more of kind of like like, sitcoms back in the day always had, like, the will they, won't they trope of, like, you see two characters, they have great chemistry, they're about to get together, but then something happens, and then they're not together, but you still want them to be together, but then something else happens, and then they'll get back together, but then something else happens, and then they get torn away. And I feel like that was a very, like, big trope in, like, the late 90s, early 2000s. So I think that kind of went along with that. And to be fair, like, Chris Noth always has, like, a charm about him. So especially for women of an age bracket that I'm going to assume is watching this show.
A certain age, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to assume for this, like, this is a decent looking fellow, you know? Like, I'm not going to discount, like, his looks or anything. Like, he's not hideous, but
I haven't seen him in anything
for
besides this.
For the most people that I've talked to about this show, it's either about Big or it's about Aiden, which is a character we get later in the second film. But those were always the two that were, like, the ones that Carrie should have.
They were the closest, yes.
Yeah, they were top contenders, which,
And
like, yeah.
I mean, and also, like, you should make a movie it's a hard juggle to do. Like, when you're making a superhero movie, if you're making a Sex and the City movie, you should juggle those two things of, like, how to keep someone who's never seen the show, who would want to see the movie, and also someone who's been a diehard fan from the very beginning. But I feel like after watching these movies, it's like, if you haven't seen
I was so
the series, why the fuck are you watching this
movie?
movie?
Well, that's what I feel like, and that was, like, our biggest disconnect when we were watching it. It's like,
I
didn't care for this.
I can understand, like you just said, like, if you watch the show, you're committed to these characters, you're committed to their storylines. If you haven't watched the show, you have no horse in the race, no pun intended. So, like, you're not committed to, like, seeing where these character stories go. But if you have watched it since the 90s up until this time, you kind of want to see where their stories do go to. So I can understand why this movie made the money it made. Like, people wanted to see.
As two people for you two have never seen the show, like, you also, like, have no idea, for example, that, like, this is Charlotte's second marriage. Like, her first marriage was terrible, and she was married to this guy who was just awful to her, and he had his own issues. So you would have no idea that. You would have no idea that, like, the reason they adopted is because Charlotte could never get pregnant. You would have no idea about Miranda and how her and Steve got together.
Yeah.
You would have no idea that like
I would not know
Carrie-
anything about Carrie and Big.
Yeah, Carrie dated. What was he? Was he Russian? The Russian guy?
Carrie?
Yeah, Carrie dated. I forgot if he was Russian or not. He was like
Shit,
a
I don't
composer,
remember.
I think.
I don't recall. He was like
Something
fourth or
like that.
fifth.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But like, you would have no idea that all of these like relationships have happened. Even like Samantha had like a cancer scare at one point. Like, there's so many.
I remember that.
Yeah, there's so many like ups and downs to like these women. So like, I feel like you almost have to watch the show, or at least have a basic understanding of the show to really appreciate the movie more. That's why I feel like maybe for me watching the first one, I was actually okay with it. Like the first one, I was like, okay, this is a nice little like recap. Like, because to me, if I really grew up with these characters, watched these characters for 8 seasons, maybe like 20 years down the road, I'm like, well, let's catch up. Like, how are they doing? Where are their kids? Like, Big died. Oh, okay. Like,
I feel like this movie was very much made only for people who watch the TV show.
100%.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if it wasn't for this podcast, probably would have never seen this movie.
you're welcome, everyone.
Yay.
Yeah.
I say all of that too with one of my biggest issues with this movie, which is the whole plot point of like Steve cheating on Miranda. I truly don't feel like, from watching the show and then feeling like I know these characters, I don't feel like that's something Steve would do. It's very hard for me to believe that Steve would cheat. Steve and Harry, like I know Harry doesn't cheat, but like those two are like the solid, like they're the solid husbands, right? Like they're the reliables, they're good guys.
But aren't they the only
never see it.
husbands technically in the friend group? Because Big's not a
Yes.
husband yet.
Big is not a
At this
husband
point in
yet.
time,
At this
Yes.
point in time,
And
yes.
Samantha never gets married.
Never gets married. She does not want to get married. She does not want kids. Her life is sex, 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 sex. That is her trope.
I'm Samantha. I have sex with everybody.
And she does. But yeah, so I mean, like, it's just that plot point. Everybody's plot point, I like have minor issues with. I think the only one that I'm really like, yay, is Charlotte. 'Cause she finally gets pregnant, which is like a great thing for, like, even I'm just like, finally, yay, good for her. Because she's the sweetheart. Like, she's very nice. Like, I think she's trying to like always play peacemaker, and she's trying to be happy-go-lucky, kind of thing. Maybe a little racist at times, but I don't know. Her and Samantha were always like my favorite characters. I think also like the contrast of like one's very goody-goody and very private, and like I have sex, but like it's my time, versus like I'll have sex with anybody. You want to see this like shit go down, and just that contrast is really fun for me. And then Carrie's just kind of in the middle, and Miranda's kind of a bitch, but whatever. So,
I know you mentioned you casted us in this movie. I'm actually curious to who you
I
casted
did.
us.
I spent probably like the first like 45 minutes of this film going back and forth with who is who in this movie.
I'm gonna be very upset if you casted me as someone I do not want to be.
Oh my god! So this was really hard. So like one of my personal things for the people that like watching, I like casting people in shows, movies as people. So since there's 4 of us and there's 4 characters, I took the liberty. And this was really tough because I don't feel like any of us are one specific character. I feel like we have multiple pieces of other characters. So I narrowed it down and I just did a combination of 2. That was the easiest way that I could do this. I'll start with Ryan because he was kind of the easiest. Ryan, you are a combination of Charlotte and Steve.
Miranda.
Yeah, you are Charlotte and Steve. I'll switch over to Mooney. Oh, did you want more? Do you want embellishment?
No, I'm good. I was just thinking about it more, and I was like, fucking Charlotte.
I'm going to scoot on over to Mooney. Mooney, you are a combination of Samantha and Miranda.
Miranda.
Because you are a boss bitch, but you take control, and just hot as fuck.
Which one?
All of it. That's all of you. You're all.
Oh, I thought you meant Samantha or Miranda. I was like, which one are you talking
Oh,
about?
Samantha's hot.
Yeah, I was about to be
She's
like,
doing it. She's
Kim Cattrall.
Big Trouble, Little China.
No.
Mannequin. Oh,
Well, that was on something.
Yeah.
don't worry, we're gonna talk about Mannequin because it has a sequel. Eventually.
All right, who's Joseph?
Joseph, you're a combination of Carrie.
A true laugh. Yeah, that's funny.
We're rewatching Blade Runner tonight. Hope you know that.
Oh shit. Okay. And Marissa.
Carrie Barr, you love it. Okay, yeah.
You can just imagine Joseph in some Manolo Blahnik just strutting around the streets of New York
And
City
his black bra straps.
You want this?
Moving.
in a little tank top, flowy skirts.
Just the crazy unbrushed hair.
He made Mooney cry. With
I
that
got,
one.
half of me got Simba. That's fine.
Happy guy.
You did have me to get Simba.
Honestly, you originally, I had you set as just Carrie. Because I was like, this seems the most sense. Because I feel like you have just not to get too personal for the audience as well as us, but I feel like you have a lot of heart. I feel like you're always looking like.
Are you trying to say I'm heartless?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
This isn't about you. I feel like you have a lot of heart. I feel like you are very hopeful, and I feel like Carrie is, especially in her look for love. I feel like you try to look that way, but sometimes things don't go your way. But I also feel like your anger level hits on a Samantha level.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Hope-wise, I got no more hope, man. I'm just kidding. The hope's gone.
But the Lakers
9/11
don't.
happened. Hope left the door.
He's still hopeful. That's why he's a Raiders fan.
That's true. That is true. That is an unfortunate curse.
Marissa, who are you?
And much to my chagrin, I am a combination of Carrie and Miranda.
Miranda.
So much so I was talking to Ryan earlier, and I was like, I really hate to admit it, but I was like, you and I are Miranda and Steve, just not with the cheating. It's accurate. You know it's accurate. You're totally Miranda and I'm Steve.
What?
Miranda.
Miranda.
I didn't mind Jennifer Hudson in this movie. I thought she was a decent addition.
I wrote, Jennifer Hudson, we applaud you for your efforts to try and save a
Thank
sinking
you.
ship.
She's
Damn.
the best part of this movie, I would say.
Yeah, I like this addition.
Yeah.
I do.
I agree with
And
that.
I know they gave her the role because she's in the soundtrack of
Yeah.
the movie.
True.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hate the soundtrack. There's been some it's hit or miss.
You like the Fergalicious song in the beginning?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I
didn't mind the Mercy song either. The Duffy song. I'm begging you for mercy.
Oh, that's just
That's just 'cause I like the song.
I didn't mind. I'm not usually a big fan of montages, but I actually didn't mind.
Ryan had another
Continue.
thing about-
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
No,
You
no,
just
that
reminded
montage
me of
you
something.
reminded
me
Not literally right now, but you're about to touch on something that's
Oh, okay.
prominent.
Yeah.
This much of my notes, and it's only that much. So
I don't really like montages very much, but I don't mind the New Year's Eve montage of them all showing where they're at New Year's Eve. And I actually like the cover of what is it, the Auld Lang Syne, or I can't pronounce it.
The what?
the New Year's Eve song.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's a great cover, and I like just that little hit of everybody's where they're at.
With that, I would say that would be fine if that's all it was. The biggest problem that I have with this movie is that I feel like both of these movies, now that I think about it, are all montages.
Mm-hmm.
The bulk of an hour of this movie to 45 minutes is just montages, or they're like little vignettes. Like almost like Caddyshack, where it's kind of a movie, kind of doing what the show does, because it's supposed to be that.
Yeah.
Little snippets into their lives, but I feel like it took her fucking 7 hours to clean out her closet because she had to try on every piece of clothing. And whoa, do I keep it? Do I lose it?
I think it actually takes her longer. I want to say she says it took 3 days.
Why are you looking at me?
For
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because it takes like a week.
Yeah. You're right. There you go.
I've been
I
thinking-
gave her the benefit of the doubt. 7 hours is a long time, but 3 days,
Yeah.
because you got to try on every piece of clothing and then go, yellow Post-it, purple Post-it, fucking
Purple means trash.
We can cut this out if she wants to.
cut it out.
We are cleaning out our closet. We're on
It's been
the
week
second
3.
week. Yeah, week 3.
Good
I've heard being like,
Lord,
let me
dude.
try this out first. It's not. You don't want it. You don't want it. I'm like, she's like, hold on. Or pulling it out and the tags are still on. I'm like, how long have you had that? 3 years. And the tags are still on the fucking dress. I'm like,
Just know.
no, we're donating this.
Just
no.
know. These are not all of my clothes. I still have clothes in other places too.
Yeah, and different
Let's close here.
In different area
area
codes.
codes. Close it.
Some might say in
It
different
just
countries
drives
too.
me insane because she's just like, it's gonna fit, and I'm like, I'm sure it is, but you don't need it. You have the same freaking top. But no, I need it. Pull on another dress. So like, you bought that when we lived in our other place. It has a tag still. I can still make it work. And I'm like, no.
I could. Okay, I relate to Carrie Bradshaw. Okay, it takes a while to clean out your closet. You should be. Is it?
No, go ahead.
It does. You should just be happy that I threw away a bunch of shoes. That's. It was very sad. It was a very sad moment. But we'll continue one day. We'll continue the closet one day.
The one scene that I always remember from this movie is the moment where Charlotte poops her pants.
100%.
I always laugh at that scene. I will never not laugh at that scene because I have also seen many of people poop themselves.
You've watched people poop themselves?
Yes.
Who the fuck do you hang out with?
People. Creep.
I've never seen anyone poop their pants. I've seen someone close to almost wanting to poop their pants.
You've seen babies poop themselves.
Same stuff. Yeah, I've seen people pee on you.
Yeah, we all know.
Whoa.
Was it you?
Is that appropriate?
No,
Probably
it's
not.
it's an event we all attended a few years ago.
Oh, fuck. That's funny.
We won't mention it. Anyway, so pudding.
Well, no, we'll leave it at that. You guys figure it out.
So did Charlotte really? So I don't know how long they were in Mexico for this little.
It was their
Yeah,
honeymoon.
But
It was.
at least a couple days. Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're telling me that for however many days, we'll give it 3 to 4 at best.
Mm-hmm.
All she had was pudding and smart water. No wonder
Yes.
she pissed herself.
Yeah.
Product placement.
For the pudding?
I don't know. Was it branded pudding? I
It was
didn't.
made in Poughkeepsie.
Bill Cosby
Maybe
pudding.
Poughkeepsie, yeah, it's like- and smart water. That seems wild.
I have a question for mainly you two, since you've watched the show. Are they great friends to each other? Are they good friends?
Ooh,
Because
wrote
I
that.
don't
That
think
was one of my
I don't.
questions, too.
I'm very conflicted on if they are actually good friends or are they all just jealous, temperamental women like the women in White Lotus. Like I related to them to those women from White Lotus because
Yeah.
they all just love to hate. They all just love to hate each other.
They have been friends for a very long time, and that is what binds them together. But my notes were rewatching this 15 years later that these characters are very narcissistic, materialistic,
Mhm.
self-centered,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
boo-hoo woe is me
Mhm.
type of people. Like I told Marissa my eyes hurt after watching it, not from crying because I was so upset about the Big and the Carrie drama, but because of the amount of times I had to roll my eyes to be like, ah, God, Carrie going on and on about her big drama. And granted, yes,
Get it?
Big.
yeah, pun intended. To a certain extent, like yes, like it's a big deal, but like, goddamn, like how long are we going on? You're gonna sleep for 3 days and then, I don't know. At a certain point, I was like, all right. Every comment, it's about me. It's about me.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of got over it.
I agree.
To a certain extent.
To a certain
To a certain extent, yes.
Because I'm trying to think of it in like the light, like whimsical way of like this is somewhat like still like going back to like just the base level of like realistic, like in terms of feeling. So like we've all had or have had or will have what we would consider in our own personal right the biggest heartbreak of our lives, right? Losing the love of our lives, being devastated, not wanting to eat, sleep, do anything with our friends, just kind of being in that like sunken little hole, you know, of heartbreak. So that's the only real way that I would like. I was okay with her kind of doing that, especially like being on the honeymoon. Like, would seem pretty shitty. Like, and this is the only point where I would say. I would say that her friends were great because, like, can you imagine, like, your friend comes up to you and you have, like, 2 days to wrap your shit up so that you can fly to Mexico cross country, you know, to basically hang out with her on her failed her failed marriage honeymoon. Like, I feel like that's a tally mark on, like, the good friend side. But obviously there are so many other tally marks on the bad friend side where, like, you have Miranda saying this shit to Big and then not telling Carrie about it. But you also have, like, you know, Charlotte. I think Charlotte's a great friend in this movie. I love Charlotte in this movie. She's probably my favorite of the 4 in this one. I feel like she's trying to do her best. Like, especially, I always remember that scene too where, like, Big tries to be like, no, I'm ready now. And she just, like, cloaks Carrie and she's like, no, you're not going to touch her. Like, just her eyes in that moment. I thought it was, like, one of her best acting moments. Like, I would, like, that's an amazing friend moment to, like, try to protect someone. Like,
I would agree with
really
that.
Do anything, like, to be fair, in comparison to Steve, who, like, royally fucks up. Like, Big is like, nah. She should have forgiven him a long time ago.
He was there. He was the first one there.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like, you know, this was a huge overreaction to something that could have easily been settled. Furthermore, I absolutely accept Big's apology. I love the way that he writes out all the love letters and does his own, and, like, you know, I think that that's actually really romantic.
And for point of reference, how long of a gap has that been?
Their breakup between the wedding and then when I guess they finally get back together.
Yes.
I want to say it's 6 to 8 months.
At least.
Damn.
Yeah, 6 to 8 months. Yeah. And honestly, I want to say Steve and Miranda got back together before Carrie and Big did.
Yeah.
Which is wild because
Yeah.
he completely committed adultery. So, but I like their moment on the bridge. I wish, like, had the adultery not happened, I think that actually would have been a really sweet moment.
Yes.
Like,
I agree. I want to say it's from something else as well. Like, it's a reference to another
I wanna say
something
you're right.
New Yorky, Brooklyn Bridgey meet.
That seems like a New York.
Yeah.
New York is very
It's
romance.
It's supposed to be, I guess, and all that jazz, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like Carrie is kind of a terrible character, and it's
Yes.
not a good example coming out of the gate and being like, this is your first interaction or introduction to this character. How would you feel as a person she is?
She would not be my first choice of having as a friend, but mainly because her energies are up here and I'm, like, down here. I need someone, like, normal. I feel like I could be friends with a Charlotte, or I would like to have a Samantha in my life, just because I feel like Samantha's just fun when you need fun.
You need sometimes you need a wild card.
Yeah,
Shit.
Samantha's a wild card.
Speaking of which,
Yeah, I know.
And I
speak of the devil.
And I feel like I've never watched the show, as I've mentioned, but growing up, obviously, like, every news channel or anything big that happened in the show was always in pop culture. It was always in the media and, like, the fashion and everything. I feel like Samantha was more popular in the media than, like, the Carries or the Miranda or the Charlotte. And I know more about Samantha's character. Like, I remember when they gave her breast cancer in the show. I remember that being a big thing. Couldn't tell you anything much more about Carrie than Carrie and Big. And that's about it.
Yep.
I know a little bit more just because
You've seen the show too.
I feel like Anthony Marantino would have been a good choice for you as a friend. He's the snarky little event planner.
I blocked this movie out of my head. I really don't know that much.
He's a great character. That's worth it. Go back and rewatch. He's the Sicilian wedding planner that's
Yeah.
Charlotte's friend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
When they gets married in the second one.
This dude.
Spoiler alert.
Yes. Yeah, spoiler, because we're about to talk about it. I kind of almost wish that Big and Carrie didn't get married. And I say that also with the preference of, like, there was a time where, like, personally speaking, I did not want to get married. I was totally down with, like, the Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell life. I mean, like, they're not married and they're still together. So, like, why couldn't, especially for Big and Carrie who do not want kids, this seems totally acceptable that they would not get married. But I also don't know what the, you know, if one dies versus, you know, leaving asset kind of situation deals with. So, teach their own.
I think that's the minimalistic part that's touched upon, them not being married.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, like, there's not really a...
Well, yeah, because even their conversation is very much like a, well, did you want to get married? I guess we could get married. Well, why don't we get married? I guess there's not a reason not to. And then it's just kind of like a, well, should we get Mexican tonight or should we get
Pizza.
Italian or something? Yeah.
Yeah, and for his character type, like, he's very mysterious through the whole show, which is why his name is Mr. Big. Like, I don't think you really find out what his name is until, like, the last season or so.
The very last episode.
Is it the very last episode? I thought it was a little more than that, but yeah.
I read his name right now. His name, Joseph, if you did not know, it's John James Preston. Thoughts on triple
I would hope you watch the
JJP?
movie. These are terrible movies, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Especially watching them now, like, there's things I appreciate about them being very dated in a good way, of, like, it's a snapshot of what it was to be a woman in New York in the 90s, a woman in New York in the early 2000s and the mid 2000s, like the phones and the Blackberries and the fashion. Other than that, like, it's hard to, like, come into this sight unseen and be like, these are wonderful movies and they tell great stories of these characters that I really like.
Yeah.
No. Does anyone have anything else to say about the first one?
I really don't mind this one that much. I feel like there's parts to it that are not great, but I feel like there's parts that, like, if you're kind of taking it as, like, just a very, like, level 2 kind of emotion, I feel like it's not bad. Like, I really enjoy just, like, the smaller scenes. Like, there's a scene in Mexico where Samantha wakes Carrie up and she's just, like, feeding her food because she's like, you gotta eat, like, you gotta do this. I feel like that's a really sweet moment. Like, I feel like there's small little, like, nuggets of sweet moments in this movie that one could really appreciate. Like, Harry and Charlotte, I think their relationship has always been a great little piece. Obviously the Samantha and Carrie thing I think is really sweet. There's a moment where Carrie has, like, a realization, which I think is really great. Like, it's very self-aware. So, like, there's moments in this that I'm like, oh, I'm very touched. I don't mind this too much. But then, I don't know. I feel like 85% of the time I'm like, what the fuck is she wearing? What is happening? Why does she have a feather in her hair? It's her wedding. What is the coloring choice here? Like, I don't understand.
Something blue?
It was a bird.
I was like, she's like, I had a bird in my hair. And I was like, yeah, you had a fucking bird in your hair.
Yeah,
right?
she
It
looked
is
dumb.
New York.
Like, what is the choice here?
At what time? At what point, though?
Yeah. And then there were some pieces of clothing that I was like, oh, that's not bad. Like the Oscar de la Renta dress from Vogue. I didn't mind that. It was nice. Good choice. Joseph?
Do you guys want to go into your ratings? Joseph, hit me with it.
It's my okay. So
Yeah, I feel like Joseph had said that.
well, because, like, I haven't
He's
watched
done.
the show, so my lens of this movie is coming off of just meeting them for the first time.
I want it to just be off of what you've seen.
Yeah,
just these movies.
So from
and
what I've
that's it.
seen, obviously, I've had a connection with them and I've followed them throughout their seasons. I feel like I would have been more interested in their story points. To me, it was way too fucking long. It felt like a season that was condensed into a feature-length movie, where I feel like in a season you could have done more. There was more breathing room for certain characters, more things that you could have touched upon. Yeah, I couldn't get into it. I pulled a very much a Mooney and was shopping on my phone while watching this film. I bought a few T-shirts while I was
Very
watching this
Carrie
movie.
of you, Joseph.
So I am at a 2. 2 out of 5. There were some moments that made me chuckle. There were some moments where I'm like, all right, it's kind of ridiculous, but I understand the concept of what they're trying to say in the film itself. I do wish I had seen the other seasons prior to this, so I would have that connection. But from a movie standpoint, from a rom-com standpoint, I'm at a 2 out of 5.
Ryan, what says you?
I agree. Like I'm just gonna go off of like what we have, right? Like it was yeah, like you said, like a season that was condensed into a movie. It shouldn't have been that long. It was a lot of filler and little plot points here and there, and it didn't need to be that long. I would also give it I will give it a 2. Just because there are little parts that, but it's not for me.
Marissa?
I didn't mind this. I liked the concept of like catching up with our girls back in New York City. Yeah, I always love the concept of like what happens after Happy Ever After. So like obviously in the show, Carrie finally gets with Big, so like now we get to see the aftermath of that. So I always enjoy those story points because, and especially in this movie too, we get kind of a nice little background hint of there's a moment where Carrie's reading the Cinderella story to Lily, and then the end where Big is re-proposing or like they're recommitting to each other and he slips the shoe on her. Like I think that that's kind of a fun little anecdote. So I think that, yeah, like I said, there's like moments in here that I'm not mad about. I just feel like certain characters they kind of did a little dirty or a little rough against their arc and what we've kind of known from the show. But I don't mind. Like I watched the first one, no problem. It was a little bit long, but I would probably watch it again. Just the first one. So I'm gonna give it a 3. Middle road. It's whatever.
If I could give this movie a 0, I would. However, it's not fair to the sequel to give this one a 0 and not the other one.
Great point.
Spoiler alert for everyone. I feel like with this one, it's the same thing as Joseph. Like, I really have no connection to these characters. I really don't care for them. I think they're terrible friends. I don't care for Carrie and Mr. Big's relationship. Honestly, I feel like the cameos are probably in like the little special appearances from other people are probably the best part. Like Jennifer Hudson, I think, highlight of my movie. We'll talk about the cameos in the second one because we all know who my favorite was in that one. I'm at a 1.
That was high. I thought it was going to be way lower. I'm not going to
It's
lie.
only because the second one deserves worse.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true.
With that being said,
Shit.
let's move on to, in my opinion, probably one of the only rom-com sequels. Rom-com sequels that probably never needed to be made for a lot of reasons.
I mean,
and I have my own reasons.
I
with
understood
that one.
why they made it. The first one made
$1 bazillion
fucking
dollars.
bunch of money. They're like, we're gonna double down on this and keep it going.
Hit me with the budget then.
Budget. Can't see shit. $95 million budget. Box office $294.7 million.
Still a big one.
Cinema score of a B+.
Really?
Yes.
It's a big drop from.
Well, A to B+. It's not.
Oh, was it A or?
It was A to B+.
Okay.
It's not.
So you have an A- in between. Okay.
Yeah, it's not that incentive of a drop for cinema score.
That's so surprising. Who's giving out these scores?
I feel like it's the diehards, the fans
People.
that, yeah, because they that's an audience like.
Yeah, but
I would give.
But I
this
feel like the
one a
fan
D.
base really pulled out.
Maybe
Like,
F.
so we brought up Sopranos earlier. Sopranos made a prequel movie, and that shit bombed. And that, I think right now that still has like a D cinema score. Whereas Sex and the City, they knew what they wanted, they knew what they liked, they knew their audience. The first one was huge. Sequels coming in, they're like, well, we're in anyways. Like, you're bringing back the crew, so we're in. So I feel like they were committed to the bit all the way through.
to be fair, I wanted to see the second one because it brought back a series favorite, which was Aiden, which was one of Carrie's exes. That everybody to this day, a majority of people are like, she should have ended up with Aiden.
Mr. Big Fat Greek Wedding himself.
Yes.
I want to say, no, I don't want to give it up. It's too personal. It's too personal.
Yeah, don't
Don't do
go there. Don't
Yeah,
go
I'm
there.
not gonna go there.
Don't go there.
I just have a personal anecdote with Sex and the City and the character Aiden as well, but we won't get into it.
We can do it later.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was like, we won't get into it, but like, I think that's why I also have like,
It's unneeded.
yeah, I was like, that's why I was just like, I have a personal.
I like that they were the same age that they were in their flashback. That shit cracked me up.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I was like, God damn, you're still 40 years old in 1989?
19 something,
Like, what the
damn.
fuck? It reminded me of another movie that was a musical that we watched, Mamma Mia.
Yes.
Unrelated
Yes,
to the podcast
yeah,
yet.
Yes.
But Mamma Mia has a scene where, is it the second one? Or no, it has to be the first one, right?
You've only seen.
What's the second one?
No. In the first one,
The flashback scene.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Where they're
yes.
all in the attic.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
And it's like Pierce Brosnan, but he's got a fucking mustache all of
Yeah.
a sudden. But they're all the same age.
The Skarsgård has like the long
Oh,
blonde
yeah,
hair all
I'm
of a
just like,
sudden.
what
Yeah.
the
I like how you knew exactly where he was going.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Come
I've
on
seen
now.
it.
Like, come on now.
How many times?
This was their movie. The opening 20 minutes of this movie was all for them. Very gay wedding, as they say in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's not wrong. It is a gay wedding,
Oh,
but
that swans.
he goes hard. But then as soon as they show it, I go, that's a gay wedding, dude. That is the gayest wedding I've ever. And we've been to multiple gay weddings. That is the gayest wedding I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've been to.
I've been to more than 5 gay weddings, and that was out of
I feel
control.
It had swans at the court. It had freaking Liza Minnelli.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Come on.
yes.
Can you imagine?
That's
that-
that's
who's that
enough.
for?
Yeah, that's enough
Yeah.
as it is. Like Liza Minnelli.
Okay, I'm just wondering. I'm like, how much did they have to pay her to one, be in this movie, and then 2, do the all the single ladies dance chorus line?
Oh yeah, fuck.
Like, what in the hell? I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the single ladies part, but like, good lord, Liza Minnelli married you? Wild.
Just reminds me of Arrested Development.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm wondering, like, because they mention it twice, that like he gets the wedding of his dreams and he gets to cheat. Like, at first you're like, oh, ha ha ha, it's a joke, but then they mention it again.
Well, he does, but then when she talks to is it Stanford, and he's like, oh yeah, of course you can, in all the states where it's not legal, because at the time, like you got to think about it too. Like at the time, this was like, I wouldn't say radical, but like
That wedding's radical.
that wedding was fucking radical. Know what I'm saying?
How much did that
Yeah.
cost?
Oh, out of control. But for 2, people that don't have kids or whatever, and that's
Oh yeah, that's true.
2 successful gay men in New York, like you can afford that wedding.
Yeah.
It was a gay wedding.
I hate. She refers to it as a hat. But Carrie's little like.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. What the
Her
fuck?
Maleficent crown.
The Maleficent
What is that? Yeah. Oh my god, I hate it.
I remember looking up at you, being like, "What the fuck is this
She
shit?"
said hat.
Is this fashion?
When she said like, "Oh, I gotta get my hat," I was like, "Oh, that'd be cute, little top hat."
Yes.
That might be cute. And then she put that shit on, and I was like, "What in the? Does Carrie have good style?"
I don't know.
Carrie has subjective style. But
Yeah.
fashion is subjective.
I don't think shit.
So, how do we feel about Big's anniversary gift to Carrie?
The TV.
We talked about this.
It started a fight.
I understand the intentions of like them watching like their old movies and just like hanging out and doing their own thing, but I can also understand that they pretty much both want different things. Like she wants to go out, go to dinners, go out, have like a good time, where he's more like low key, wants to be a stay at home, just wants to have a nice night, drink some wine, just chill. So it's polar opposite. So I feel like the TV was more of a statement of what they used to enjoy, and I think she took it from another perspective because they were already at that point. Mm-hmm. Rolex was sick as fuck because goddamn,
Oh, Rolly.
the Rolly was sick.
But that being said, male fashion now. Was it a faux pas for her to just get that shit inscribed?
Yes. Because it loses its value. You can never sell that thing again.
No,
unless
never
you
again.
find another one named John James Preston.
Well, that's the
Or
point.
Mr.
It's
Big.
not supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's the
Also,
sentimental
yes.
value of having
But
somebody's.
just
If I got you a really nice watch, would you then want to sell it?
absolutely not.
There you go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want for
I mean,
anything
but
anything
That's
nice.
a vintage Rolex.
Yeah, anything nice I buy for myself, or Joseph has given me anything nice. I wouldn't want the first thing to be like I want to engrave it.
I engraved
because-
myself like Steve-O just in the back.
I feel like also engraving has kind of gone out of style.
Yes.
Like, it's not really a thing.
It's
That's
very
fair.
That
like
is a good point.
mid
That is a good
2000s,
Yeah, I don't really hear much people doing that like nowadays. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of like early
especially for like
twos.
a vintage Rolex. I don't think anyone would do that to a vintage Rolex.
Do a ring or
A
something.
ring, yes.
or it's-
I would do
you
it
know,
to
A
your
ring, yeah.
engagement ring, your
Or-
wedding band, anything like that. When it's personally for you.
Yeah.
When it's like a Rolex, like if Carrie and Big had kids, he could give it to his son or his future son-in-law.
John James Preston Jr. or the fuck. Whatever.
The second.
Oh yeah, yeah.
JJP Jr. He could give it to JJP Jr.
JJP the second.
He could give it to JJP
Esquire the
Jr.
third.
or
JJPJR.
or even if they never had kids but they formed connections with Charlotte's kids or whoever else's kids, like their family, cousins, whatever, I don't really know, kids in their lives,
You mean the two girls are wearing the men's Rolex?
they could pass it down to their future husbands, brothers, I don't fucking know, but like I personally would not engrave a vintage Rolex. I would keep it in pristine condition, sell it for a diamond tennis bracelet.
I get where Big's head was kind of going with like wasn't it
Very thoughtful.
Wasn't it nice? Like we stayed in and we like can watch old movies and stuff. But at the same time, a TV isn't really something that you would get your wife for an anniversary.
I agree.
Unless maybe she asked for it specifically. But I mean, I could see it if it was like he got the TV, laid out roses on the bed, like rented the actual movie that they got and like kind of redid that night maybe and like kind of added more romance to it. But I mean, like, what is it? I think it's their second year of marriage at this point. I think
It
it's
is.
2 years.
Yeah, they're
2
going
years
off of
after,
like
yeah.
real time. Okay.
So I mean, like yeah. Honestly, like if you were like, oh, it's our anniversary, I bought you a TV, I'd be like, where the fuck did you get this money for a TV? Versus like, oh, I got you flowers and a card. I'd be like, okay, that's
Yeah.
I think my biggest thing is like, one, I have to think again, is that they're in their Carrie at least probably in her 50s, 40s, sure.
That was gonna be my next point when she goes. The only word
Isn't Samantha in her 50s?
Samantha is older than the rest of the girls by like I want to say a few years.
Okay, late 40s, early 50s for most of the characters. How old is Mr. Big?
Mid 40s.
No.
He is in his 50s.
Yes.
So at that point, it's like you're getting close to the age of wanting to retire. You want to kind of like slow your roll in life and everything. When I'm 40 years old, I don't want to be partying still. I don't want to do that in my 30s. You do?
Absolutely not.
no, we're doing this right now.
You're going out and you're like, oh, stay home.
I like going.
Yeah.
I like going out to go to restaurants to try food, eat, put on a nice dress, and then be in bed by 10.
If they want to be in bed at 7 p.m., like put on the ball game. Let me watch it. I don't want to go out anymore.
No, Joseph wouldn't be in bed by 7 with the ball game. He'd be standing up being like, all right, if I stand right here, they shoot better.
That's how I
Yeah.
go out at 50.
Yeah.
But her saying like the only word I heard was old. I was like, bitch, how old are you?
Yeah, that
How
was
old is he?
tough.
Yeah. That was.
You guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. Especially like, can you imagine if he got like if he got a vintage.
You mean that box TV?
No, I was thinking more like a vintage like record player. Like I think that would be really sweet. Like if they had like a moment where like they danced at the wedding and then he went out and bought like a record player and he's like, yeah, I thought we could like dance in the living room like we did at the wedding. Like how romantic does that shit sound?
Like his thought was here, the execution was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
mind like
That's what
his
I'm
thought
saying.
process because he did it because they used to watch TVs and stuff.
It made
movies.
sense.
It
but
was thoughtful, but like she was
execution
just
was
like,
bad. Especially because they've already been bickering over the fact that she wants to be more out with him. She wants to go more. Like he could have just been like, let's go on a fucking vacation. Let's go somewhere. Let's get the fuck out of New York. Have a good
let's
time.
go to Dubai.
Dubai, yeah. So anything, but like the TV thought process, I understand it's the execution that fucking fell all over itself and ended up being what it was.
But I also feel too, and like I think Ryan, I was talking to Ryan about this, and he was just like, "Well, it's a show," but I was like, "Yeah, but still." And one of my issues with the first one that I didn't get to mention in the first one, which is there's a scene where her and Big are getting ready for bed, and they like snuggle up and they're reading their whatever it is, and she's just wearing these pearls to bed, and I'm like, who the fuck is wearing a string of pearls to go to sleep? And yes, you could argue that she's just getting in bed and she's like, whatever, I'm looking this way. There is a scene in either this movie or the last movie where she wakes up and she's in the pearls. Who the fuck is wearing this string of pearls? Do you wear pearls in bed?
No.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna say yes.
No.
That's a death right there. Just,
Fashion to the end.
yeah, especially if you have a cat, heaven forbid, or a dog. Done. But anyway, so like she's always wearing these like nice dresses, like when they're just hanging out at home, and like I don't know, I just don't. I want to be comfy at home.
It's
I mean,
fashion.
I'm not opposed
High
to
fashion.
it.
High fashion.
I think wearing slip dresses at home is comfortable.
But these aren't slip dresses. She's wearing like a fucking like Valentino gown. while she's,
If I
like,
could
watching
afford-
an old movie.
If I
Not
could
of, like-
afford a Valentino gown, I
She
would be
does.
wearing a Valentino gown 24/7. I would do it. If I had the money, I would do it.
If I had the money, Ebenezer Scrooge nightgown every night.
With the butt flap.
Oh no, you wouldn't need the butt flap. It's at the bottom. Just hike it up and go. Yeah. Time for bed. Wow.
You have that little hat too.
Absolutely, and my candle. It's time for bed.
Socks and slippers or just slippers?
Slippers get kicked off at the edge of the bed, and then I just right into my
In like a perfectly crisp sheet. no
Yeah.
wrinkles, nothing.
Kicking them up.
nightcap. Good night, Nermal. Good night, Figgy.
And then Figgy's just settled in. He's got the matching.
Yeah.
I picture
We're
you
just
guys
together.
like Marshall Erickson from How I Met Your Mother
Exactly.
when he has the little nightgown.
That's
That's
the
you
height
guys.
of luxury right there.
Maybe we get them one and let them see if they like it. Maybe they like
Down.
it more than a vintage rollie.
Down, dude. So down.
Oh man.
We do have to move on though from from the
I feel like we actually do get for his we're gonna get into obviously we were just sort of getting the garbage of this movie. I feel like we actually do get a real moment in this movie, and it's when Charlotte is hiding in the pantry and she basically has like that breakdown.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I'm not a mom by any means, never claimed to be, but I feel like this is a very real moment where she's having like that struggle, that inner turmoil of like she wants to be a good mom, she wants to be a good friend, she wants to be all of these things, right? But there's just so many things happening to her, and then it just kind of just overflows, and she doesn't know what to do, and she feels bad that she yelled at her daughter, and so she just hides in the pantry. And like I can't tell you how many times I've actually seen that happen in real life to friends and family of mine, where they're just so overwhelmed, especially when they have like younger kids, and they don't know what to do, because I mean, like, what do? They're kids, like they don't know better. And it's heartbreaking to watch, to see that happen, of just like you don't know what to do, there's so much stress and there's so much going on, you're overstimulated, and you're just like, what can you do but hide, and then like you get the nanny coming in with her no bra and saving the day.
It was a real moment, and I give him credit for that.
Yeah.
Because that's something that like a lot of movie and TV wouldn't talk about.
Yeah.
And then later on in the movie, when her and Miranda are talking about it like mother to mother, like let it out, like hit me with that shit, because you need to get it out.
Oh yeah.
Because she wants to be the perfect mom, and it's like that's not how life works. Mistakes get made, but that's the part of growing up and being raised and raising someone.
Yeah. Well, that, and like, yeah, and then also like from a mom like perspective too, like you don't, like kids don't come with manuals, like there's no way you can be a perfect mom, like however you do it. I mean, you're just gonna see how it goes, and you're gonna hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're doing right, I mean, you could do wrong, you could do right, but then those kids are gonna do right and wrong, and then that's how they learn.
Yes. I do backtrack a little bit though, because then they say something that's very white privilege of them and be like, well, I don't know how they do it without help.
Yes.
And I was like, and then you brought me right back down. I was like, yeah, I don't know how. That's crazy. Fanfare to you sitting in the theater with no help. Like, yeah, that is hard, huh? You have a 24/7 nanny, both of you. Magna.
Related to?
No, it was from the series. It's from the series. She's brought up.
That part, yeah, I was like,
Yeah, they get help because of her job, basically, and like other shit.
What does Steve do again?
He's just Steve.
It's
No.
just Steve.
There's a big chunk of that show where he's just Steve. I think he's like in between jobs at one point. But
Is he hiding from Blue or?
yes, yeah. Are you talking Blue's Clues right now? Yeah, but yeah, that part I was like, yeah, okay, I fucking all right.
Yeah, that's
How do we feel about the comment that Big makes after Carrie spends the 2 days in her apartment, and he goes, well, we could do this. Like, I'll go to your apartment next week, and I'll do 2 days there. How do we feel about
How do we feel about that?
I think it's weird that she still has an apartment when they live together. They live together. They're married. Is her apartment used just for
it's just a
work?
big closet at the
Or
extra
second
clothes.
closet.
Yeah.
Because I'm down with the second closet.
I feel like
But I
it's,
think it's
he's always trying to be a good person and be fair to Carrie, and I'm going way too deep into this, but my man's has a point. Like, you get your 2 days. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. What I'm saying is him saying, like, you get your 2 days, maybe I get my 2 days, and she's like, well, I don't need him all the time. You need him every week. He's like, I'm just trying to like compromise with you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
always, you're presenting something. I'm meeting you halfway. What if we did this? What if we did that? I don't think that it's necessarily right. Like, there might be problems in your marriage if you got to take a couple days off every week, bro. But like, maybe if he like worded it more precisely, or like if they talked about it before he just jumped into that.
Again, I feel like his execution's off.
It's off.
Every
His
time,
heart
dude.
is in the right place,
But he just doesn't know how to seal the
Execution
deal
off.
or say it in the
that's a
right
great point.
way.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that he's right, but
I feel like in this instance, I feel like he means exactly what he's saying, and he's saying that he wants 2 days a week, which is like, no. Like yeah, maybe if you need some space, but I feel like that's why like it's good to have friends, it's good to have family, it's good to have like maybe your work or hobby or something that's outside of your significant other, so that you get your time. And I feel like I think it's in this one where Miranda, I think it's Miranda, and she's talking about being a mom with Charlotte, and they're having that conversation, and she's saying like, it's not, being a mother is not enough. Like, she's like, I want more. And it's not necessarily that being a mother isn't, I don't think that I hope that she doesn't mean that being a mother is not enough. I think it's the same thing that like I've talked to a couple of my like friends and family about, which is just like, just because you're married, or just because you're a mom, or just because you're this, doesn't mean that you're not still what you were before or what you currently are. If you like to be a runner, you can still be a runner and be a mom. If you were a lawyer, you can still be a lawyer and still be a mom. You can still be who you are and be in a relationship, be in your career, and be in all these things. If it works out for you, if it chooses for you, depending on the situation, obviously. And especially if you're in a relationship, because if you try to, like change who you were, potentially in certain aspects, or completely shut the door on who you were as a single person, then why did the person that you're with now, get married to, however you see it, are they still going to be in love with you? Are they still going to be with you because they fell in love with that person who you were? Like single you met your partner, and that's what attracted you to each other, and now you're in this relationship. So there should be a part of you that is always staying true to that. Like, yes, grow and, do things and grow as a couple as well. But, just because Miranda is a mom doesn't mean that she still can't go to work if she truly wants to be a career woman.
facts.
Or opinions.
Do any of us have any thoughts of them going to the Middle East for this movie? Which
No,
I will preface it with, when they filmed this movie, I was living in the Middle East.
Oh, it was like 9/11.
Specifically,
Hey.
the amount of coverage
Now watch this
the
stuff.
UAE got, because the Sex and the City cast was coming there. Every single place I went, Sex and the City here, Sex and the City here, which is also coming from like a country that's very religious, and they kind of touch upon it a little bit in this movie with the certain things that happen to these characters. To me, I don't understand why they did it there. because it's very outlandish and wild, but also kind of makes sense.
Yes, that's the only reason why. Is like where else would you go if you want a juxtaposition between what the show is and a place where it's
The complete opposite.
exactly.
Yeah.
And in my notes, I wrote something very, very, very specific, and I said, Mooney, paint us a word picture, and I think you really did already. That's
Of
fine.
Abu Dhabi
Yeah,
or
sure.
Dubai.
Either.
So Abu
Anything.
Dhabi and Dubai are very different. Dubai is very westernized versus like Abu Dhabi is very more religious, where for women you can't really walk out in like booty shorts and a crop top.
Mhm.
Can't really show that much cleavage, where in Dubai you can, so you cross like the city border. But it's also very weird because Joseph and I can't walk around in the mall holding hands. We are not married. You cannot do any public display of affection. However, if you are husband and wife, you can walk holding hands. You can peck on the cheek. You can maybe do like a quick like, that's about it. But you can't like make out in the corner.
No.
Now, unless you're in a club, that's a different story. I have some wild stories, but we'll get into them outside of this podcast. But it's very much, and I know for this one, they say they're there, but they didn't film the movie there. They filmed most of it in Morocco. So
That makes sense.
That seems, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm sure there was a bigger tax break in Morocco than there was in Dubai.
They filmed it in the desert in Morocco.
I mean,
Makes sense.
They were like, same shit.
Same shit. Who's gonna know?
Who's gonna
Who's
know?
gonna know?
It's like Star Wars.
Why white Americans gonna know that?
Move on to Desert Wars.
I just,
What?
I just in my thumb, you're just like, Mooney, pay me a word picture. And Mooney's just like, well, you see, there's two towers.
What I should have done is grab Marissa's clipboard and be like,
Yeah.
all right, I got my pens and paper.
Picture this. It's a clear, non-cloudy day. Sun's out.
You see here. No, because when we were talking about it, because we finished up the movie
Whenever you
shortly before you guys got there,
As we do.
and I was like, oh yeah, Marissa, have you ever seen pictures of like, I don't know where it was, but it was like, it's the Middle East, but it's like in the 60s, and how different it is.
It's probably Dubai.
I want to say it was Dubai, because it was a lot of like
Mhm.
the fashion that was the time
Mhm.
there, and then to where it is now
Mhm.
after certain after certain political things happened and
Yeah.
and all that jazz.
Very different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what did it.
Mooney just gave me the biggest death glare.
Yeah, that was a big note for me. Word
Anyone
picture.
else have any thoughts about the Middle East? Joseph?
What?
Do you have any thoughts about the Middle East? Sex of the City in the Middle East?
I have
Sex and the
man.
city.
It's not that
so many.
podcast.
Exactly.
Carrie's hat on the plane ride.
I think I spent 5 hours on that.
Yeah, alone of just like, that's exactly how it is. No, the fuck, what? When they're like, the ladies like, come with us, in the little back bazaar over here, and they have their little meeting of the women. I was like, they like take their shit off. I was like, they'd all be stoned to death. It's a high risk.
Where if
Is that risk?
depending where you are, but I feel like them setting it in the UAE, as westernized as the Middle East can get, probably the best place for them to do it. It's
Yeah.
not as religious as like other places. You
No.
have other cities that might be, but I think it was whatever. I think it mainly just annoyed me that it took over my entire like high
Yeah.
school life because it was everywhere.
Yeah. How racist was this movie?
Oh, so racist. So racist.
I was like,
So
I
racist.
can't wait to ask.
So racist.
Yeah. That's
I
what
could
thought.
spend an hour talking about how racist it was,
yeah.
but I'm not going to.
Mhm.
Also, for what's her face to go fix like the PR campaign for like the Arab Sheikh? That's never gonna happen. You're never gonna fix it for the royal family because they have their own PR crisis family, and especially because the royal family is so secretive, and they have their wives.
Yeah.
And
Don't film us. You film. You
Yeah,
can film away.
you're
but
not allowed
don't-
to, like-
no, don't do none of that.
like if I were to go to the mall and the royal family is there, I'm not allowed to be with them. Like I have to be like distant.
Other wing.
Distance.
You got to be by Macy's over there.
There's no Macy's in the Middle
Yeah, I was
East.
gonna say, I feel like there would not be Macy's
No, there's not
Enter
even a
joke
Nordstrom.
here.
But yes, like a department
Yes.
store.
Away from us.
Yes, it's very. But the weird thing is, though, is like when you see like the royal family outside of the Middle East, they blend in with everyone else.
Oh.
I've seen them in the Grove a couple of times, or like
okay,
in Europe, like outside
saying.
of the
Okay,
Middle East.
I
You
get what- I
can't
get what you're
really
saying.
tell because they kind of like
They're just there.
incognito.
Yeah.
You find them a lot in places we've been to, but we won't mention them.
Like Universal Studios.
No.
How dare you say that?
Like New York City on September.
New York City.
New York City.
But yes, it was very, very racist.
Yeah.
I think the souk scene was probably the worst, which is their market.
I remember laughing really hard too because why would he need to go to Dubai to take the fucking picture for the movie poster? It's like you could do all that and like that's post production, baby. You can do that anytime.
I also want to know, would they really be obsessed with Smith Jared this much?
Maybe.
I mean, like they make it seem like he's a big movie star.
Well, he's supposed to be, right? Like he's supposed to be like a Brad Pitty kind of.
Yeah. But I'm just like, would another country be like this obsessed over this guy?
Yes,
Yeah.
the UAE would be.
Yeah.
There you
Yes.
Okay, that answers my question.
There's
Yeah,
so many
that-
like
that crosses out like 3
there's so
items
many,
on
like,
my list.
Knockoff In-N-Outs because In-N-Out will not franchise outside of the West Coast, as we know. But there's so many like knockoff In-N-Outs there, and anything that's popular in the U.S., it's there already.
What's enough for them in, but stay in? Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I have 3 last points that I'll make, and that'll be the last things I have to say about this movie because there's not a lot. One of them is the hotel manager, homeboy from The Mummy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That's it. That was my only fact about that. I just thought that was funny. That was I was like, yeah. Like I know him. Second thing, that drawing of Carrie in the New Yorker, fucking just like her.
Yes,
Whoever did that picture, goddamn, that shit looked great.
Good artiste.
Oh, dude. I was like, that shit looked great. And then my last thing was Carrie's a fucking bitch.
Yes.
Oh damn.
I mean, that's the thing too. Is like Steve is obviously he did worse than what Carrie did to Big, but like for all the things she says and does and presents herself in such a way, she's an unredeemable character for me. Like I just don't like her.
As like a side question too, because you said that what Steve did was worse. Would you argue? And this is just like a general statement. So Steve slept with a woman. We have no clue who she is. It was a one-time thing. He doesn't know her to all we know. And yes, they did sleep together, but it was one time. Boom. Carrie, yes, she did not sleep with Aiden again, but she did make out with him for however many seconds or whatever it is. And she's also had an emotional relationship. Would you consider one worse than the other?
Yes.
I have a I mean, yes, obviously emotional cheating, and that's you're stacking things onto it to make it better. But where did this mystery woman come from for Steve? Because
No
it's
one
never
knows.
it's never touched
explained.
upon.
Yeah, we don't
And
see
he's a married man. Where does he have the time to fucking find this lady, this
Yeah.
one night stand that he's having?
Because you could also put into perspective is like we don't know who this lady is. Who's to say that Steve did not have an emotional connection with her? What if it's his
It's just never shown.
secretary or I don't know what Steve does.
He
With his
he
life.
definitely doesn't have a secretary.
Or if it's
I
someone
don't know
he knows
either,
from like
but
work or like
it could be though.
a former lover. You
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Former lover.
You don't know who it is.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I know, like in that circumstance, like for the example, right? Like, what if he just like Tinderized somebody and he was just like
Tinder.
Tenderize
Tenderizing
somebody.
them like meat.
Just I'm gonna pound you out real thin. Put some
We make the
seasoning
chicken
on
cutlets?
it. Yeah.
the old.
Give it the old panko breadcrumb.
Yeah, I would think, like if we were going with, if we were gonna go with, this is just a random woman that Steve just happened to meet off. the
Then yes,
street
Carrie's is
and
worse.
sleep with. I would think that Carrie's would be worse because she used to have an emotional.
Yeah.
She left Aiden for Big. So I don't know if this is also like her feeling like I came full circle.
You made that choice.
It's the one that got away.
No, absolutely. She made a terrible choice, and everything that she said to Miranda in the first episode is completely null and void at this point. But yes, she's Carrie. I feel like these shows just make Carrie seem more like a worse human being. I didn't watch the And Just Like That series or the continuation, but I feel like it's, what, are we getting worse? Are we getting better? What are we doing here?
I feel like it at this point, this series is just taking a huge nosedive. There's a lot of fanfare for fanfare's sake, and
I didn't need the second one.
I didn't need any of it. I didn't need the first one.
I was fine with the first one, or even if they wanted to push it a little bit further and then did a reboot series where they're like, here's Big and Carrie after 10 years of being together. Like, maybe. Or, like, maybe then they, like, hit Big was 60 and Carrie's 50, and they're like, you know what? Let's get married. Like, I know we've been together for 30 years, but, like, we've been here long enough and we've decided to do that. And you're just like, okay, cool. Like, they're just deciding to do this thing. And that's fine. Like, even the flashback, like, I think it would have been really cool to see the flashback of, like, the girls younger in the first movie, and then kind of do not Abu Dhabi in the second one, but something else.
And maybe make them different actresses. I don't know. The ones
Something.
that
Don't
ones
pull
that are
a Mamma
actually
Mia?
younger. Yeah.
Did like a Mamma Mia kind of thing, or like a Carrie Diaries-esque.
Something.
That would've
Yeah,
been
that would have been a fun way to tie it in, because
That
I
would've
want
been
to.
a better
Well,
movie.
no, it was way after those movies, but they could have did it.
I don't know. I'm just, the second one was absolutely not needed. I feel like
No.
there was things that I feel like even the nanny was racist to a point.
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
actress is somebody now for sure.
She looks familiar, but I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
her
she's
name off the
she's
top of
from
my
stuff.
head.
You can look her up.
I got you guys.
Pull it up.
I don't even think she's Irish.
Um,
She might actually be.
might,
Actually,
yeah.
now that I'm thinking about it.
She's British.
Oh, well,
To Bruno, yeah.
She was
But
in
every
the
time the
movie
music
She's Out of
came up-
My League, Men in Black 3,
she's out of my league.
Oh, that's
Star Trek
right.
Into Darkness,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Marvel's
Jay
Iron
Baruchel's,
Fist.
Yeah. I did laugh at that though. Every time like she came in, you just heard like the Irish jig. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then deciding to make her a late.
Oh, yeah, at the end there, yeah.
He's a no threat to the marriage.
in there. Yeah, just a nice little throwaway in there. I think the wedding was the best part of this movie. I feel like when the movie opened and we got that wedding, I was like, okay, here we go. This isn't too bad. And then they got into the Abu Dhabi thing and the Smith Jared coming back, and it just was
So pointless because he's like in there and they set him up like it's gonna be like she's gonna come back to him or something,
Yeah.
and he's just gone for the rest.
I didn't mind if they did like a little, like, maybe he was in New York and we got like a little scene where he was just like, hey, like, oh, it's been forever, yeah, like you should look me up next time you're here, and then he does like a okay, well, bye kind of thing, because that could happen. He's a movie star and like he might be in New York for something. Like that could theoretically happen, but you didn't need him inviting them was like he was the whole plot point for why they even went to Abu Dhabi.
And for like 45 minutes, that's a whole chunk of that movie
The
that
whole
you just
thing, yeah.
tear that shit
That
out.
and then menopause.
Yams.
God bless you, Suzanne Summers. That thigh master.
On that note, does anyone have anything else for Sex in the City? Do? Shall we go into our ratings?
Sure.
Joseph. We'll go with you first.
Not ready.
Yeah, I'm at a 1 with this one. It's significantly worse, even though I already know these characters from the first movie. I cared less about the storyline. Just a lot of lows, not a lot of highs. Some funny moments here and there, but not enough for me to really care about it. Again, I was not really all that into it. It's not a film for me. Again, if I would have watched the series, maybe then. But even if you watch the series, I feel like this one's very cheap and it's like, well, the first one made a boatload of money. We'll just run it back and see if we can make a few more, and then let's get them out of like the United States, take them to another place, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, not a fan. So I'm at a 1.
Ryan.
I don't have a lot to say about this one other than what I said. The characters are very like I said, self-centered, narcissistic. materialistic, and I feel like it's very similar to how they were in American Psycho. Like borderline, they don't really care. They care enough, maybe because they have each other and they're their anchors of like where they should be in the world. But other than that, they just care about themselves a little bit. I kind of got that more this watch around than I normally did. Maybe it's just because we came off of American Psycho, but I wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel the love for like the show. Like it just seemed like it was a cash in. I give it a 1. Yeah, rough.
Marissa?
I feel like this was a complete stray off the original characters that we got in the show. I feel like I'm sure you guys don't want to give the show a shot now based off these movies. But
I'm good.
Well, especially too, the creator of the show directed both movies, so that doesn't really help in the argument as well. But I mean, like this is full. Like these shows do have some moment. Like I'll refer to that as just like there are moments where we get with these characters, and they really do provide something special. We get like some fun love. There is some like girl bonding and everything, and woman bonding, with this foursome, this 4 group of friends or whatever. I don't know. We do get some great character moments throughout like the whole thing, but I feel like with this second movie, it's just a complete. Just like you did a complete like turnaround. You're going away from what you built up and created over the past few seasons, and then with the first movie even, I don't feel like anybody asked for it. I think the only reason that they made a second one because they're like, well, the first one made so much money, so why not do it? And then to bring back the show, like none of it's really fitting, and then I just feel like they're just destroying everything that they've built over the years, and I'm surprised that the fan base is still honestly behind them at this point. I'm gonna give it a 0.5.
Yep.
-10.
How'd you know?
For copies.
I saved this to specifically put it in my review part. Highlight of the movie was Miley Cyrus for me.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
Totally
Yeah.
forgot about her.
Yeah.
That dress was hideous.
Yes. With that being said, because I have so much love for Miley Cyrus, I'm gonna go for a 0. It would be in the negatives if it wasn't for Miley.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
I have.
Because of Miley, she brought me up.
She brought me up. This movie to me, I found it completely racist and offensive. I don't care for these characters. I think I hate them more after the second one than I did after watching the first movie. I never want to watch the TV show. I never want to watch the revival TV show. I honestly could have gone the rest of my life without ever.
And just like that, Mooney was offended.
Honestly, yeah, I'm offended you made me watch this.
Yeah.
I didn't make you do anything.
Best character, St. Louise.
That's true.
Oh,
I'll leave
St. Louise. Oh, and then the
leave it at that.
Stanford and Anthony.
Yeah. Yeah.
R.I.P. Lily Carson.
R.I.P.
Anyone have any other final comments? Nope. Okay, thank you.
I'm Samantha.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
You made it this far. Goddamn. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed our discussion of Sex and the City. And Sex and the City too. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell us if you like Sex and the City, the movie, TV show, revival, or even the prequel, Carrie Diaries, yes? Carrie Diaries. Or let us know who your favorite character is in Sex and the City.
Who do you identify with?
Yeah. And just like that, we are out.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cosmos for everyone.
Thanks for listening. Until next time. The podcast, a show so sublime. Marissa, Mooney, Joseph, and Ryan signing off with glee. Join us next episode for more sequel revelry.